4.34. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninastattvadarshinaha. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Now, Krishna has described in the previous section of this chapter, verse number 25 to 33. He said, you perform so many yajnas and ultimately you attain jnana through those yajnas. Okay, that's how he ended. Sarvam karmakhilam partha gnane parisamapyate. All your karmas or yajnas should culminate in developing jnana. And now, the method, the results and glories of attaining that jnana, Krishna describes in this last section of this chapter. In the 34th sloka, Krishna describes the process of attaining jnana. We just recited the 34th sloka. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So there Krishna says, Tad vidhi pranipatena. Try to learn, try to gather knowledge by approaching a guru. Pranipata. Go and approach a guru and offer obeisances unto him. Pariprashnena, by asking submissive enquiries. Pariprashna means very submissive enquiries. Relevant enquiries. Not just intellectual titillations or some tangential questions. Right? Very submissive, relevant, fitting questions. Right? Pariprashnena and sevaya. Seva means rendering service. So just by asking questions from a guru, you will not get full knowledge. For you to get knowledge from guru, not only relevant enquiries are required, something more is required. What is there something more? Pranipata and seva. Submission and service attitude. Service attitude and submissiveness accompanied by relevant questions will equip you with knowledge. Is it clear? Fine. Next. Upadekshanti te jnanam. When you approach the guru with this mentality, they will give upadesha. They will give you knowledge. Jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Why they can give you jnana? They themselves are jnanis. They themselves are tattvadarshis. Tattva means truth, absolute truth. Darshi means one who sees. Means they themselves have seen and realized the absolute truth. They are able to impart that knowledge of absolute truth unto you when you approach them with submission and service attitude and relevant queries. Fine? So that is the meaning of this sloka, which is very popular. Prabhupada says, blindly following the guru or placing absurd enquiries in front of guru, both are not proper. So blind following means there is no intelligence involved. Whatever is said, we are just doing. Okay? If it is a very elevated guru, Vaishnava guru, then that may even work also. Even blind following also has some effect when you are actually following, when you are fortunate enough to follow a Vaishnava guru who is a sincere well-wisher of yourself. But that is not what is being recommended here. Blind following is not proper, not great. And absurd enquiries, just trying to evaluate everything like a jury panel. The guru is saying something, let me see. Okay, is it correct or not? Okay, that you cannot just place absurd enquiries or offend. We cannot acquire knowledge by challenging the guru, by placing submissive enquiries. Okay, and doing service also. And just by hearing from guru, you will not gather all knowledge. One should serve guru also. So we have seen in the episode of Maitreya Muni and Vidura also. Vidura asked so many questions from Maitreya, and Maitreya answered those questions. Maitreya is acting like a guru and Vidura is acting like a disciple. And Vidura said, my dear Maitreya, now I have understood what you have said. But for me to realize this, assimilate this, internalize this understanding, I must render service unto your lotus feet. And service to a Guru, service to a Vaishnava is very rare. Durapahi alpatapasa seva vaikunthavartmasu yatropagiyate nityam devadevo janardana. So it's very rare to attain the service of a Guru. So here not only enquiries from Guru are highlighted by Krishna, service to Guru is also equally highlighted. Submission to Guru is also equally highlighted. Offering obeisances to Guru, Paripat. So that is also mentioned. So all these three together will help us accumulate transcendental knowledge. Okay. So next, Prabhupada writes in this purport, very beautiful. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Satisfaction of a self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. So many S's are there. So inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination of spiritual understanding. Inquiries plus submission. Not just by asking, you should also be submissive. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. Same thing, Prabhupada is repeating this sloka. Submission and service are the circuits that converts the knowledge that you receive into realization. Otherwise, you can just hear some theoretical knowledge. You should render seva also. Very important. We have seen so many examples like this. Sutta Goswami heard from his teachers and then he realized that all that knowledge. Why? Because he has these qualities. He is submissive and he is very sincere. He is very pure at heart also. Ved tattvam somya tat sarvam tattvatas tadanugrahat bhruyuhu snigdhasya sishyasya guravo guhyam apyuta. All the spiritual masters of Sutta Goswami imparted confidential transcendental knowledge to Sutta Goswami because he is Saumya and he is Snigdha. He is very affectionate and submissive to his gurus and he is also simple and pure at his own heart. He has submissiveness and he has service attitude also. Right? So this is the way of gathering knowledge. 35th sloka. यज्ञात्वा न पुनर्मोहम् एवं यास्यसि पाण्डव येन भूतान्यशेषानि द्रक्ष्यास्यात्मन्यतो मयि यज्ञात्वा न पुनर्मोहम् यज्ञात्वा having received knowledge from a bona fide guru in this way, na punarmoham, we will not be bewildered or illusioned again. No bewilderment. The result of acquiring jnana from a bona fide guru is no bewilderment. In the 34th sloka, Krishna spoke about the method of receiving knowledge. That is from a guru. In the 35th sloka, Krishna is speaking about the result of knowledge. Okay? No bewilderment. यज्ञात्वा न पुनर्मोहम् एवं यास्यसि पांडव then येन भूतानि अशेषाणि द्रक्ष्यसि आत्मनि अथो मयि. And also gathering that knowledge will bestow pure vision of seeing all living beings as parts of Krishna. See these words. Yena bhutani aseshani. So many living entities are there. Drakshasi atmani athomayi. You will be able to see the connection between all the beings and Krishna. So all living beings are parts and parcels of Krishna. They are servants of Krishna. They are within Him. Means they are dependent on Him. Right? And Krishna is there within them. Means Krishna is the super soul within their hearts and they are dependent on Krishna. Right? So that connection, that intimate and eternal connection between all the living beings and the Supreme Lord Krishna is seen by a person who has received knowledge from a spiritual master through submission and service attitude and relevant inquiries. Clear? 35 and 36. 34 and 35. 34th verse is describing the method of receiving knowledge from the Guru. 35th verse is describing the result of receiving knowledge from Guru. Two results. Number one, no bewilderment. Number two, developing pure vision of seeing every living entity in connection with Krishna. It is 35. Prabhupada writes, the result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. Nothing can exist separate from Krishna. Not a blade of grass can exist independent of Krishna. So a Krishna conscious person will see the connection between every single element and Krishna. That is called Krishna conscious vision. That's what is mentioned in the last sloka. No, the third sloka of Chatishloki Bhagavatam. Remember that? Third sloka of Chatishloki Bhagavatam describes this. Vritirtham, that is second sloka. Yatha mahanti bhutani bhuteshu chavasheshu pravishtani apravishtani tatha teshu nateshu sam. Right. Next. 36th sloka. Apiche asipapebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah sarvam gnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. 36th sloka. Krishna says, even if you are considered to be the most sinful of the sinners, apichedapi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah. Papakrittamah means best of all sinful people. There is no best associated with a simple person, but basically he is most sinful person. Okay? Sarvam gnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. So one can destroy all these sins by gnana plava. Gnana is knowledge, plava is a boat. Right? So the boat of knowledge will help you cross over this ocean of sinful existence. Okay? Sarvam gnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. Proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship with Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence which goes on in the ocean of desires. Okay. 37th sloka. Is it clear? 35th sloka describes two results of acquiring Jnana. One, no bewilderment. Two, clear vision, developing a clear vision or Krishna conscious vision. And 36th sloka speaks further, destroying sins. Okay. Now 37th sloka. Yathedamsi samidhognir bhasmasat kuruterjuna gnanagnih sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Yathedamsi samidho agnir bhasmasat kurute arjuna. Just like a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes. Right? Blazing fire just turns all the wood that you put in that fire into ashes. Right? So bhasmasat kurute arjuna gnaninaha sarva karmani. Similarly, gnana or knowledge will burn all your fruitive reactions into ashes. Is it clear? Simple understanding. The fire turns firewood into ashes. Similarly, jnana or knowledge turns your karmic reactions into ashes. Here the word karma is used in the sense of reaction to the activity. Earlier also Krishna said, Jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam. The reactions of your fruitive activities are burnt to ashes if you develop knowledge. Next, 38th sloka. Nahi gnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati. nahi gnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. So Krishna says, in this world, iha means in this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Nahi gnanena sadrisham, there is nothing else which is as pure and as sublime and as great as transcendental knowledge. He is glorifying gnana here in this verse. It's the purest. Tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati. Okay. He says in due course of time, it is attained of itself from within. Okay. So by mature practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, Saswayam Yoga Samsiddha. Swayam means on its own it will appear. How? Yoga Samsiddha. If you sincerely perform yoga, that yoga here is Nishkama Karma Yoga. By the sincere practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, you will eventually attain Jnana. Is it clear? The culmination of Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga in specific is Jnana. Clear? So what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? Performing your prescribed duties without any material desires, without any attachment to the results of your activities, as an offering to the Supreme. If you do this, then you will attain Jnana. To do this, you have to begin with some kind of Jnana and Vairagya, and by doing it consistently, you will attain complete knowledge and complete detachment. Your knowledge and detachment will be very mature. In the beginning stages of Karma Yoga, you just begin to perform Karma Yoga because you have a lot of attachment and sense gratificatory tendencies and material desires. Because you have attachment, you are not qualified for Jnana Yoga. That's why you should perform Karma Yoga. That's what Krishna said in the 3rd chapter. But if you begin that Karma Yoga like that and practice for a while, then you will be attaining Jnana. Then you will become qualified for Jnana Yoga. At that stage, you don't have to perform your prescribed duties. In the previous chapter, we have seen that Arjuna is asking, should I give up prescribed duties or should I take to renunciation? Should I perform prescribed duties or should I give up prescribed duties? Action or renunciation? Then Krishna said, premature renunciation is not proper. Better do your prescribed actions. So he prescribed Karma Yoga for him. By sincerely doing Karma Yoga, then you will develop the necessary knowledge and detachment by which you become qualified for Jnana Yoga. And even if you are qualified for Jnana Yoga, you still perform Karma Yoga to set an example for others. Is it clear? 3rd chapter and 4th chapter are in sync. And 5th chapter also will become sync. The essence of 3, 4, 5, these 3 chapters can be summarized in just 5 minutes, which we will describe after completing the 5th chapter. Right? Why the first 6 chapters, this whole chunk is titled as Karma Yoga? Because Krishna, although he is speaking Karma Yoga or Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, again and again he is bringing Arjuna to this point of Karma Yoga. He is prescribing Karma Yoga only to Arjuna. Right? The progression is given. At the same time, a recommendation is also given. Next, 39th sloka. Shraddhava jnanam tatparah samyatendriyah jnanam labdha param shantim achirena adhigacchati. Now the role of faith in acquiring knowledge, Krishna emphasizes in the next several verses. So, to acquire knowledge, you should have faith. Shraddhava labhate jnanam. If you have Shraddha, you will attain Jnana. Tatparaha samyatendriyah. So one is Shraddha, next is Tatpara. Tatpara means you should be dedicated to the process of this Nishkama Karma Yoga. Means you should be, how do you develop Jnana? Krishna just now said, by practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, you develop Jnana. Right? And a part of Nishkama Karma Yoga only all the sacrifices that he just mentioned. Okay? By practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, you develop Jnana. So, how do you develop Jnana? You should have faith, Shraddha. Next is Tatpara. You should be fixed with determination in practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga. Number 3 is Samyatendriyaha. You should also have self-control. You should control your mind and senses. then you can easily attain jnana. Self-control, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and Shraddha, faith. Then Jnanam Labdha, in this way if you attain Jnana, Jnanam Labdha, Param Shantim, you will attain the highest peace. And here the Param Shantim is described as liberation by the Acharyas. Achirena Adhigachati, you will attain very quickly. Achirena means within short time. Within short time you will attain this liberation or peace. Fine? That is 39th sloka. Now 40th sloka. Agnascha Shraddadhanasya Samshayatma Vinashyati Nayam Lokosti Naparo Nasukham Samshayatmanaha. In the 39th sloka, Krishna said, who can attain jnana? If you have faith, if you practice Nishtama Karma Yoga nicely, and if you have sense control, then you can attain jnana. He said that. In this sloka, 40th sloka, who cannot attain jnana, Krishna says. What is that? Agnascha, ignorant people. Ashraddadhanasya, faithless people. Samshayatma, people who are constantly doubting. Those people cannot attain jnana. Vinashyati, they will fall down from the path of scriptures. So Samshayatma is specifically referring to having doubts on scriptures. Okay. Agnascha, Ashraddadhanascha, Samshayatma, Vinashyati. Ignorant people and faithless people and those who do not have trust on scriptures, those who doubt scriptures, they will fall down. Nayam lokosti naparo. They do not have happiness in this life and in the next life also. Na sukham, no happiness. Samshayatmanaha. Again Krishna says, if you doubt scriptures, there is no sukham for you. The scriptures are apaurushaya. Now, Acharyas describe these words, these three key words in this shloka. What are the three key words? Agna, Ashraddadhana, Samshaya. They elaborately describe these words. Agna means ignorant people as foolish as animals. They have no knowledge, they have no faith. Right? Second is Ashraddadhana. They have knowledge of Shastra, but they do not have sufficient faith, because they have seen the mutual disagreements and proponents of various theories. They have lost trust in them. Ashraddadhana means you are little familiar with Shastra. Ajna person doesn't know Shastra. He has no Shastric knowledge, he has no faith. But this Ashraddadhana person, he has some understanding, he has some knowledge of scriptures. But he has seen so many people arguing on those scriptures. Some say this is the right meaning of the scripture. Some other people say something else is the right meaning of the scripture. They keep arguing, scholars. Seeing that arguments, this person is unable to keep any trust on them anymore. That's why he is Ashraddadhana. Then third person is Samshayatma, the doubter. He has knowledge also, he has faith also, but he is doubtful whether the process is effective for him. Okay, what the scriptures mention is correct. And you know what the scriptures mention also. But will it work for me? That is his question. Getting right? The first person, Agna person, has no knowledge, has no faith. Second person has knowledge of scriptures, but he has no faith, because his faith is destroyed by the argumentations of people. Third person has knowledge also. He knows what is there in scriptures, and he has faith also, that what is mentioned there is perfect, correct. But he has some doubts whether it will work for me or not. Okay. So these are the different people who cannot actually attain, realize transcendental knowledge. Then 41st verse. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibaddhanti dhananjaya. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam. The results means the glory of reaction-free work, he says in this sloka. Yoga sanyasta karmanam. One, who renounces the fruitive activities by karma yoga. You see this? Yoga refers to karma yoga. Sannyasta refers to giving up. So sannyasta can also mean sannyasa, that is renounced order. And sannyasta can also mean giving up. But in this context, yoga sannyasta means being situated in karma yoga, you give up what? Karmanam. Karmanam is fruitive activities. Is it clear? Yoga is karma yoga, sannyasta means giving up, and karmanam is fruitive activities. Right? Being situated in karma yoga, you give up fruitive activities. Basically, Krishna spoke the definition only. Karma yoga involves engaging in prescribed duties. But karma yoga also means you engage in your prescribed duties without any attachment to results, fruitive results. That means you are engaged in karma yoga means you are not attached to fruitive activities. You are doing activity, but you are not doing any fruitive activity. Is it clear? Yoga sannyasta karmana means this verse you have to understand very nicely. This and the next verse. That is the connection to the next chapter. So yoga sannyasta karmana means you should give up all fruitive activities by practicing karma yoga. This is what Krishna meant. Arjuna understands this in a different way in the next chapter. Next, Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam. Second point. Samshaya means doubts. Jnana Sanchinna, by developing knowledge as a result of practice of karma yoga, all your doubts are destroyed. You gave up fruitive activities by karma yoga, you developed knowledge, by that you gave up doubts. Third, Atmavantam na karmani. So, Atmavantam means being situated in the self. Basically, Atmavantam means he says Atmavan. Everybody is Atmavan. Everybody is a soul, has a soul, or is a soul. But why he says Atmavan? Although everybody is a spirit soul, hardly anyone has a realization that he is a spirit soul. The person often identifies with the material body, material designations, material relationships, and the material world. But Atmavan is a person who has realized the self. He understood that he is the spirit soul, part of Krishna. Right? He is a spiritual being. So Atmavantam na karmani, a person who is Atmavan, na karmani, he is not bound by the reactions of work. The word karma in the third line of this verse refers to reactions of work. The word karma in the first line of the verse refers to fruitive actions. Is it clear? Being situated in karma yoga, you give up your fruitive activities, karma. Second, being situated in knowledge, you give up your doubts. Third, Atmavan, you should be self-realized. In that situation, you will not be bound by the reactions of work. Atmavantam na karmani nibadhananti. O Dhananjaya. Is it clear? This sloka is clear? 42nd verse. Tasmad jnana sambhutam Kritstham jnanasina manaha Chitvainam samshayam yogam Atishtottishta bharata. Krishna is concluding the chapter with this verse. He says, Tasma, therefore, concluding. Ajnana sambhutam. Ajnana is ignorance. Sambhutam means that which is born out of ignorance. What is born out of ignorance? He says, Samshayam. The third line he says, right? Samshayam. All the doubts that are there in the mind of a conditioned soul are born out of his ignorance. So what should we do with that? And where are the doubts? Hritstham, they are situated in the heart. Okay? So what should we do? Jnana asinatmanaha. You should be equipped with the Jnana Asi. Asi means sword. Be equipped with the sword of knowledge and cut down all those doubts that are born of ignorance. Because of ignorance, you get so many doubts in Shastras. You perform Nishtama Karma Yoga and cultivate knowledge, and with this knowledge you cut all those doubts. Right? He said that yoga also. So, yogam chitvainam. So, by yoga and jnana, By Jnana, which is the result of Karma Yoga, you cut the doubts that are born of ignorance. Is it clear? So you cannot read this poetry words like a prose sentence. You cannot have line by line meaning. You have to do Anvaya. You have to join the third line before first line, like that you get the proper meaning. Okay. Now you see, the essence is this. Perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. Thus develop Jnana. And the Jnana acts like a sword. With that sword, you cut all your doubts, which are born out of ignorance. Clear? So, Tasmad Ajnana Sambhutam Hristam Jnanasinatmanah Chittvainam Samshayam Yogam Atishta Uttishta Bharata. Get up and fight, O descendant of Bharata dynasty. Is it clear? So, in the last two slokas, Krishna is saying this. Be situated in Karma Yoga, develop Jnana, destroy all your doubts, be self-realized, rise and fight. So, but Arjuna thought that the word karma in this first sloka, means 41st sloka, yoga sannyasta karmanam, he did not take that karma to be fruitive actions, he took the karma to be prescribed actions. He said, oh, you said that I should give up my action in the 41st sloka, and now again you say rise up and fight in the 42nd sloka. What is this inconsistency? Krishna asks like that. Okay. So Arjuna, karma literally means action or prescribed action. But Arjuna thought that it is prescribed action, but Krishna meant that it is result of action. Yoga sannyasta karma means you give up all your fruitive activities by performing karma yoga. Okay. So this kind of apparent doubt is the beginning of the next chapter. You understood what is the doubt of Arjuna? Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.